Before we begin, if you're new here, take a second to subscribe and hit that like button. It might seem like a small action, but it helps this channel reach more people who need stories like this. Stories that don't just entertain, but stay with you long after the screen fades to black dot. In complicated emotions, in the kinds of choices that don't feel big at the time, but end up changing everything, then you're exactly where you need to be. So, get comfortable, because tonight's story doesn't begin with chaos. There's no shouting, no broken glass, no dramatic confession that shatters everything in a single moment, because the truth is, life rarely changes like that. The moments that truly alter us, they don't arrive loudly, they arrive quietly, almost politely. They slip into our lives disguised as something harmless, a simple conversation, a passing glance, a door opening when maybe it shouldn't. And by the time we realize what's happening, we're already somewhere else, already becoming someone else. This story began with something small, so small, it almost didn't matter. A knock on the door, that's all it was. But that quiet knock forced me to face things I had been avoiding for a long time. Loneliness, loyalty, and the silent distance that can grow between two people, even when they once loved each other deeply. So don't expect a simple story. This isn't about a movie night. This is about a moment, a hesitation, a choice that didn't feel like a choice at all, and how something so small can slowly redirect an entire life. And the most unsettling part? You don't always realize it's happening until it's already too late. That morning felt ordinary. Not peaceful ordinary, not perfect ordinary. Just normal, the kind of normal that blends into every other day so completely that you stop noticing time passing. There was no warning, no strange feeling in my chest, no instinct whispering that something was about to shift. The world outside moved exactly the way it always did. Cars passed by in steady rhythm. Neighbors walked their dogs, exchanging the same polite smiles. A lawnmower hummed consistent, predictable, almost comforting. Inside the house, everything felt still. The refrigerator hummed softly. The clock ticked forward with quiet persistence. Tick, tick, tick. Each second identical to the one before. Everything looked the same. Everything felt the same. And sometimes, that's exactly when life is preparing to surprise you. My husband was away again that week. At that point, it wasn't unusual. His work trips had slowly become part of our routine. Not something we questioned anymore. Not something we even talked about much. In the beginning, those trips felt temporary, short separations, a necessary sacrifice. We told ourselves it was for something bigger. His career, our future, a better life waiting just ahead. Back then, every goodbye felt meaningful. I used to stand by the door while he packed, watching carefully. Like maybe if I paid enough attention, I could hold on to something. Sometimes, without thinking, I'd reach out and hold onto his sleeve for just a second longer than necessary. Not enough to stop him, just enough to say something I couldn't put into words. Stay, please. Just stay. But I never said it out loud. Instead, I smiled, I laughed, I teased him about forgetting things in his suitcase. I played my role perfectly, because love teaches you how to hide the things you're afraid to admit. The trips were short. Then they became more frequent, then longer, until eventually, they stopped feeling temporary. They became normal. Airports replaced dinner conversations, hotel rooms replaced evenings on the couch. He would tell me about the cities he visited. Chicago, Denver, Atlanta, Seattle. At first, I listened carefully. I pictured the streets, the buildings, the people. But after a while, they all started sounding the same. Different names, same distance. And with every trip, the house changed. There's a very specific kind of silence that exists in a home meant for two people. When only one remains, it's not peaceful, It's not relaxing. It's heavy. The rooms feel bigger than they should. Walls seem farther apart. Small sound becomes louder. The creak of the floor. The hum of the refrigerator. Even the ticking clock begins to feel intentional, like it's counting something. Something you can't quite explain at first. I tried to fight it. I filled the silence with noise. Music, television, phone calls that lasted longer than they needed to. I kept something playing in the background at all times, just to remind myself I wasn't alone. But loneliness is patient. It waits. It doesn't rush you. It simply sits quietly until everything else fades away. Every time he left, he said the same thing. Just a few more months. Things will settle down soon. This is temporary. And in the beginning, I believed him, because love has a way of making promises feel real, even when they're uncertain, even when they're repeated too many times. But months turned into years, and those words started to feel different, less like promises, more like habits. Eventually, I stopped asking when things would change, not because I stopped caring, but because pretending everything was fine became easier than admitting it wasn't. That evening started like so many others, quiet, predictable, uneventful. I made dinner for one. Nothing special, just something simple, something that required enough effort to feel like a meal, but not enough to remind me I was eating alone. I sat at the dining table. Across from me, an empty chair. The same empty chair that had been there night after night. I ate slowly, not because I was enjoying the food, but because finishing too quickly would mean facing the silence again. Next to my plate sat a glass of wine, not for celebration, not even for taste, just habit. Across the room, the television played quietly, some movie, or maybe a show. I couldn't have told you which one. Filled the room, music played, but none of it reached me. Wasn't watching. I didn't want entertainment, just wanted noise. In an empty house has a way of becoming overwhelming. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. I looked down. A message from my husband. "I'll call you later." For simple words, I stared at them longer than I should have, because later didn't mean what it used to. It used to mean later that night. Then it meant tomorrow, now. It meant whenever he had time, or whenever he remembered. I locked my phone without replying, not out of anger, just exhaustion, tired of pretending that small messages could fill the space his absence left behind. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. The water ran softly as I rinsed my glass. The last swirl of red disappeared down the drain. And that's when I heard it. A knock, soft, not urgent, not aggressive, just patient. I froze. No one ever visited that late. For a moment, I assumed it was a mistake. Someone at the wrong door. But then, the knock came again, still gentle, still calm. There was something about it, something that felt deliberate. Curiosity had already taken over. I walked slowly toward the door, each step quieter than the last. And when I opened it, Daniel was standing there,